Hogwarts Legacy offers around 34 spells that players can learn through the main story and side quests, but with a limit of 4 spells that can be used in battle at once. Some combinations make better use of these unique arcana than others. The magic of this game's combat comes from players discovering which spells work best together, often depending on their type and function against specific enemies. Every piece of magic in Hogwarts Legacy is grouped into a category, from basic spells, auxiliary spells, and transformation spells, or spells directly related to combat, such as control spells, power spells, and damage spells. As their term suggests, combat spells offer players a way to damage enemies and affect the circumstances in which they fight. For example, in some cases players can win magic duels simply by knocking their opponents out of the arena, which is much easier when using power or control spells instead of damage spells. Disillusion Charm and Petrificus Totalis combo. Disappointment Charm is a spell that allows the player to blend in with their surroundings. This spell helps sneak up on many enemies by preventing them from being detected while sneaking. Potions from Hogwarts heritage, such as the aptly named Invisibility Potion, can also do this, but they have a much shorter duration than these spells. Players can learn Curse of Banishment through Sebastian's side mission while exploring the restricted areas of the library. When used on weaker enemies, the essential type Petrificus Totalis spell constantly chains them, taking them out of potential fights early if the player catches them. While it certainly has its place in combat, stronger enemies do little damage and can be stunned for a short time. Players should use Disillusionment and Petrificus Totalis in combination with Petrificus Totalis to reduce the number of enemies before a big battle. And if they upgrade either of these two spells, they can withstand stealth and preparation to greatly reduce the chaos in their future encounters. A combination of Pratigo, Stupefy, and Depulso. When players start the Road to Hogwarts mission in Hogwarts Legacy, they learn to use Pratigo and Stupefy, two spells that naturally work together in the standard flow of any battle. However, while the first spell deals all kinds of damage and sometimes reflects attacks using perfect Pratiga, the second spell doesn't do much damage in many cases and simply stuns the enemy, allowing the player to hit another attacker for more damage. The main combination of these two seemingly defensive spells breaks down enemy barriers and shield spells, and timing Pratigo right leads to an instant stun that turns stronger enemies. Players who specialize in these two spells can break through enemy defenses while preventing themselves from taking permanent damage. Depulso remains an important Hogwarts Legacy power spell to support this strategy, as it provides a one-size-fits-all hit to all types of enemies, knocking them back and away from the player. A combination of Defindo, Confringo, and Glacius. Moving to a more aggressive approach, the Glacius spell is classified as a control, as it is ultimately buffed, allowing players to freeze enemies and increase the damage they take when hit by this spell. Acquired through the Miss Agawa's Mission 2 side mission, Glacius pairs well with Defindo, a basic damage spell to crush enemies from a distance. While players can certainly use Defindo with Incendio since the former spell is effective at close range, Incendio deals more damage with Glacius' secondary effects due to mismatches on the battlefield rather than a reliable combo. Players can unlock Confringo by completing the Jackdaw's Rest main quest and broomstick flying lessons. In the main story of Hogwarts Legacy, there is a quest called Vault of Shadows where players can use the Confringo spell, a damaging spell that deals damage with ranged bolts that set enemies on fire when they have a chance to hit. Between Defindo and Confringo, players can keep bosses or larger enemies at bay as Glacius freezes them, giving them enough room to retreat if necessary. Combination of Accio, Leviaso, and Descendo. Despite the obvious benefits of spell combos that focus on attack and defense, spells that control enemies rather than fighting them are very useful. For example, Leviaso, a command spell players are taught after their first defense against the Dark Arts class, breaks yellow shields and lifts enemies off the ground in a vulnerable position. Useful for various puzzles in Hogwarts Legacy, Leviaso also pairs well against Accio, as the latter's power spell pulls enemies towards the player for quick follow-up attacks, or into dangerous areas of the field for easy damage. Players can also use Accio to draw more enemies to their side and use short-range spells like Incendio. Players fighting enemies on ledges can use Leviaso and Accio to pull lower-level enemies down these cliffs for easy destruction. If this may not work, the Descendo Force spell is also effective, dealing a lot of damage after casting Leviaso to knock enemies from their air position to the ground. When players choose to enhance their ancient magic in Hogwarts Legacy, magic combos like Leviaso and Descendo become some of the best tools in the game for quickly defeating a single target. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and support my channel.